This is my McLaren shirt. Look at it. Wow, look at it. Wow. Every single time I wear any McLaren merch, whether I'm doing a live on TikTok talking about K-pop or just posting about K-pop in general, the amount of comments I get of people being like, oh my god, you like F1, you like Formula 1, who's your favorite yes, I too, and it's Oscar Piastri. Yeah, mate, it's Oscar. Oh my god. I'm assuming you came from my K-pop groups I think F1 drivers would stand video, but if you didn't, hi. My name is Indigo and I post videos about K-pop. I am starting to integrate F1 and other sports into my channel because much like K-pop, F1 and other sports are fixations of mine that I love to yap about. Again, I literally did a video, my best video arguably. Who am I arguing with? If I'm arguing with myself, I win. Talking about how sports fans and K-pop stans are literally the same people, but just in different fonts. I'm starting to see so many more NBA edits to K-pop songs, which thank you so much. That is literally specifically made for me. I went to go see NCT Dream wearing a Steph Curry jersey. But I feel like after really looking at the other sports I'm into in the fandoms, I feel like the sports fandom that crosses over and the most similar with K-pop is absolutely F1. The goal of today's video, I would say, I mean, maybe you're like me, a worldly person, and you already like K-pop and Formula 1. Maybe, which I feel like is going to be a lot of you, you either only like K-pop and know nothing about F1, or only like F1 and know nothing about K-pop, which in this case, this video is going to be a little confusing, but you should still just figure it out. You just figure it out. The goal is to make you at least just a little bit interested in the other thing that you don't know anything about, because both of these things are super, super interesting, and there's a high chance if you like one of these things, you'll probably like the other one. So the goal of this video is to bridge the gap, to bridge your gap. No, hold on. Now, K-pop and F1 might seem like two completely different worlds, but actually, K-pop and the K-pop industry and Formula 1 have crossed over way more times than you think. Lisa was invited to one of the races to wave the checkered flag and took a picture with Max Verstappen. Rose is a part of the F1 soundtrack. Rain performed at the concert in Malaysia in 2011. Apparently there was like a F1 X K-pop concert that happened. Imagine if that happened. Imagine if that happened now. The amount of money that would be made featuring acts like SNSD, Super Junior, Tiara, Detry, 4 Minute, along with many other idol groups. There was a Grand Prix in Korea. Please bring it back. Do you know how much money you would make? I mean, I don't know if that would be in South Korea's best interest currently, building a F1 track in a already existing like place and city. It takes a lot more time and resources and stuff than you would think. So I don't really know if South Korea is currently in the best place to do it, but do it anyway. And then, do you know how many K-pop groups already have like music videos where they're on racetracks or something? You all could already have Stray Kids doing God's Menu. I understand it was NASCAR, but fucking whatever. I made a TikTok. I need K-pop groups to start performing in the most random places, F1 track. And then it got posted that G-Dragon will be performing at like a F1 event. So did that. Also, I saw something about like ateez maybe at a F1. Imagine, bro. Also, F1 light sticks. Are you Every single thing that exists, there needs to be a light stick. There was a reference in the song Truman by Felix and Han from Stray Kids where they referenced Charles Leclerc. I was very happy about that. And then this picture, somebody said, isn't this just NCT? All right. Now let's get into it. Formula 1 is... What is it? Formula 1 is a international racing competition. So basically, niggas just be driving around in a circle that looked like it was drawn by an infant. There are 10 teams and 20 drivers. You could think of the teams like K-pop groups and the drivers like K-pop idols, right? Okay. You already understand. Like, it's so easy and so simple to understand. Teams. So I have made the executive decision to compare some teams to K-pop companies, I do have explanations, but I'm not going to be giving my explanations. I'll give you the information and then you just take it how you think. Red Bull, YG, Ferrari, SM, Mercedes, JYP, McLaren, FNC, Williams, KQ, Alpine, Cube. The rest of the teams, Aston Martin, Haas, Sauber, and RB Honda. If you are a K-pop stan and an F1 stan and want to give the other teams companies, please do so. I just couldn't think of the other ones. Okay, I'm not naming all 20 drivers because I know this video is going to be so fucking long. I don't want to say no tea. You don't really need to know all 20 drivers. You should, but I'm already throwing so much information at you, so I'm just going to give you the drivers that you're going to hear the names be repeated the most on commentary. That is Max Verstappen, Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, George Russell, Yuki Tsunoda. I will stop there. Also, they have numbers. You'll just, the more you watch F1, the more you'll memorize it. But yeah, Oscar Piastri is 80. I don't really know why. I'm sure there's a lawyer there. I just don't know what it is. Positions. No Kama Sutra. Okay, all right. Drivers 1 and 2. Are you driver number 1 or driver number 2? Are you a winner or a loser? No, I'm just kidding. There are 2 active drivers per team. Right. There's basically always one driver that is given priority over the other for the sake of increasing the odds at winning the 2 overall drivers championships that are happening, that all the races add up to points and accumulate championship standings, which don't worry, I will get into in a second. Maybe this means telling one driver who's already ahead on the track at the time of the other driver to let the driver who's behind him go in front of him because that driver has more points and is closer to winning the championship. And maybe if you're this driver, you would get a little upset. I would too. This also can mean at times when the car gets upgraded that the number 1 driver, the priority driver, gets the upgrades first. Maybe it means they build the entire car around him and then the second driver just kind of has to deal with it. All for the good of the team. Collectivism, Korea. It's a team, right? Much like K-pop, it's a team. And much like K-pop, there are no solo acts in a team. It is very rare that the K-pop groups break up just so a member could go solo. This is not some American shit, bitch. We don't do that in South Korea, okay? The members will have solo careers actively while still being in the group. The goal is the group. Period. You have to learn how to play your role and fit your position. Just like there's, driver 1 and driver 2. There is, vocal, dancer. Do we still have visual? I can't believe that's even a thing. Also rapper. Like whatever you are, that is what you focus on and that is what you do. It kind of specifically reminds me how lines are divided in ateez. And if you're an ateez, let me start off by saying this because I got into ateez and I was already like heavily a stay. So I was already, mind you, when I got into ateez, I was looking for like behind the scenes recording of ateez. They did not post that shit. They didn't do that content until work, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. But like, I was like looking for it. Nothing. Cause bitch, I came from cushiony JYP, which they do that all the time with Twice, with NMIXX, and of course with fucking Stray Kids. We get a whole fucking documentary before that. And then of course also Stray Kids, honestly, are one of the only groups that is very, very good with dividing lines and people getting lines equally. Sriracha writes parts for people. Like, everyone gets a good amount of lines. There isn't someone who gets 1 line. Or there isn't someone who gets less lines because they came in to practice late. Okay. This is why I'm saying this was a shell shock to me when I found out how ateez divides lines. And when I say ateez, I don't mean ateez. Someone on the team who's not ateez. Okay. If you don't know, basically they audition for lines and whoever sounds the best gets the lines, which leads to certain members barely getting any lines, or maybe in a song, a member getting 1 line, or, me not hearing this member getting lines because, you know, I guess they don't sound the best. And when they finally come out with something solo, I'm still not used to their voice. And this also leads to members being upset and asking to get more lines, whether they do or don't. Not up to them, you know. But at the end of the day, the team is just trying to come out with the best song possible. Like how at the end of the day for F1, the teams are just trying to win. Will a person feel resentment? Probably. And that's it. We move on. Races. Race. Inkigayo, Show Champion, M Countdown, Music Bank, Show Music Core, Simply K-Pop, Monaco, Miami, Australia, Great Britain, Italy, Las Vegas, Abu Dhabi. Think of the races like the scheduled performances that happen every K-pop comeback. You could either think of each race as a different comeback or the same comeback, but just being performed at different stages, and the different stages are the different places in the world. Much like a comeback having a slotted time from the moment that the first preview is posted on Instagram to the last performance to close out the era, F1 has a calendar and a set time. There are 24 different races this season, and the races are all referred to as Grand Prix. Why are there so many different races? Oh wait, that taken out of context, that's why there's so many different Grand Prix that take place. Do the races result in points? They do. Okay. I just had because you were asking, so I had to. Okay, all right. Shout out to the K-pop stan that is at the Red Flags podcast that saw my K-pop F1 video and sent me some merch. Thank you so much. I actually listened to that podcast. Look at this. Slay. Yeah. Moving on to points. So all these races are worth points, and these points culminate in the drivers and constructors championships. And whatever team or driver collects the most points throughout all of these races wins the either drivers championship or constructors championship. You can think of this like Kingdom. There are different K-pop groups that go against each other in different rounds, and whoever culminates the most points wins. Oh god, this is Kingdom. Can F1 be traumatizing? Let's ask the drivers. Charles Leclerc. This is absolutely his kingdom. You could also think of both championships like a dasang too. The difference between a driver's championship and a constructor's championship is like the driver's championship would be a idol who's in a group that came out with like a solo comeback winning dasang for solo, and then the constructors would be the full group winning the dasang. The driver's championship is awarded to the driver that individually has the most points, while the constructors championship is the team that had the most points. So both of the two drivers' points coming together. So it's like Mark Lee winning a dasang for his solo stuff, but NCT not winning a dasang for their group stuff. So you can have a driver on the team that wins the drivers' championship, but the team not win the constructors championship. Here is the breakdown for how the points are awarded from positions. And if you see in this picture, it goes from 1 to 10. The other 10 drivers get nothing. FIA. I'm going to be as nice as I possibly can. FIA are basically the people that make the rules in Formula One. Most fans don't like them. I would say some drivers don't really like them either. A lot of people say they play favorites. A lot of people say the rules they make up are bullshit. A lot of people say the president of the FIA is a attention-seeking person. These are not my opinion. Well, I don't know. I didn't say my opinions. I'm just saying what other people are saying so you can kind of get a feel. People have said that there have been situations where two drivers have done the same thing, but one driver gets a harsher penalty than the other. In K-pop terms, basically the people that K-pop stans complain about, that's the FIA. Building a car / building a team. Just like how a K-pop group needs a vocalist, a rapper, a dancer, a visual. Once again, are we still doing that? Let's stop doing that, please. There are certain parts that the car needs to drive as fast as they possibly can. All drivers thrive with different cars, right? With different builds of a car. Stray Kids, ateez, NCT127, they all have a different amount of rappers. They all have a different amount of vocalists. They all have a different build and makeup for the team. And that is the makeup that suits them best. If Stray Kids had the makeup that BTS did, I don't think it would suit them. Same thing for if NCT had the makeup that ateez did, I don't think it would suit them because they are different groups and they need different things so they can thrive. And that's the same thing with a Formula One car and these drivers and these teams. Just like how every K-pop company doesn't have the budget that maybe HYBE does and money is not unlimited for some of these companies to get all the vocalists they need and all the dancers and all the stuff that they need. It's the same with F1 teams. There is a cap, so these teams that have more money can't spend $1 billion where teams have less money can spend $50. Like, it just wouldn't be fair. Take a K-pop company that doesn't have as much money as another K-pop company, for example. There is so much money that goes into traveling that I don't think y'all understand. Like, we were talking about it with this Stray Kids tour, literally, and just in general, whenever K-pop groups go on tour and they're at hotels, they basically just rent out the entire floor because there's not only the members, and I'm pretty sure all the members get separate rooms, right? Which they just go to the other rooms anyway. You have to then do the background dancers need rooms, camera crew needs rooms, the translator needs rooms. Then there's money for airplane tickets and food and vans and travel and the stuff like music videos. You need to pay the editors and the camera crew and the stylists, the makeup artists, the choreographers. There is so much money that needs to be spent to come up with the best possible product that can exist. And when you have a limited amount of money, you got to figure that shit out. Race weekends. This is where the race actually happens. Think of this like when a comeback happens and you get attacked with an onslaught of like 80 different stages and like 60 different variety shows and stuff. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is when the drivers that drive in a circle that was drawn by someone who doesn't know what a circle looks like takes place. Friday's free practice, where the drivers just get used to the track. This would be like if you got to the concert early and are standing outside and you hear them practicing. Saturday's qualifying, and that determines where you place on the grid. That would be sound check, where like the VIP people can go in and then they watch J-Hope do the sound check. No filming. Sunday is race day, and that would be the actual concert. Terms. I'm gonna boom, boom, boom. Take notes, ready. This is fast mode. Pole position, when the driver starts first after qualifying the fastest. Back markers, drivers that are usually all the way at the back of the grid. These would be like Nugu groups. Like, you don't really see them on Billboard charts. They're never trending. No sold out tours. No PCs on Mercari. Oh my God. That podium. Driver finishes in the top 3 and gets to finish on the podium, which is reserved for the top 3, which is why it's called podium. Okay. P1, P2, all the way to P20 is just the position. Times on the sides. This is a picture that I took because when I first started watching F1, I was like, what the fuck is this? This is how close they are to the car in front of them. Isn't that cool? 15 seconds is crazy. Pit stops. Drivers change their tires for a fresh set. This is like when idols finish a performance and then the staff comes in and like fixes their hair and like dabs the sweat off their face and reapplies the eyeshadow before they go and film again. Downforce. This is pretty important to like understand, at least the like driving part of this. A vertical aerodynamic being a way that an object moves through air. Force acting on a car. As the car moves forward, the downforce pushes the car into the ground, increasing the traction, which means the car goes faster. Drag. Yes, diva. Oh, you heard that crack? Oh my. Aerodynamic resistance, or force that works against the direction of a moving vehicle. Faster car equals more drag. Basically, just take the last sentence from what I've been saying. DRS is drag reduction system. Makes car go vroom vroom faster, all right? As the wing in the back opens, which allows more air to pass through, decreases the drag. Straight line speed is increased and the car goes faster. There are certain DRS zones, basically where there is a like straight line, that's where the DRS zone is. DRS is like the rise of a group, not rise, but like rise with an S, not a Z. They have a comeback, and this is the comeback that really blows up for them. They're starting to get crazy global recognition, but then maybe there's a situation where a member says the N-word, or we dress up like black people and do our worst impression of a black scent and mock Hispanic people and call ourselves Little Taco Bell. And then the DRS is halted, which would be like the drag. The N-word is the drag of the K-pop group. Maybe the DRS would be like the cultural sensitivity classes, or not saying the N-word, or not dressing up like black and Hispanic people, maybe. How good the no-sat chat GPT apology. Okay, during the actual race, like the actual vroom vroom race, we have tire management. So there are different tires. Yes, my goodness. There's the hard tire, which lasts the longest, the medium and soft, which go down in length, pause, and then wet, which is when you can guess the track is wet due to rain. And inter is when the track is like not that wet, but just a little wet. I'm not making a joke. We're going to move on. Pit stop. This is when the team switches tires. And the reason why you need to switch tires is going back to what I said with the length, pause of how long the tires last. The worse your tire gets, the worse your time is going to be, so you need to come in for a pit stop. Box. This is something that you'll hear. You'll never hear, okay, time to make a pit stop. You'll just hear like box. Box is when a driver is told to come into the pit box, and that means that the driver's coming in for either a pit stop or there's something wrong with the car. Okay, for flags, there are a bunch of different flags, but the most common ones are yellow, red, green, and checkered. Checkered means the race is over. Yellow means like slow down, red means stop, do not pass, go, stop, and green means the race is back on again. Once again, I'm giving you the bare bones, bare minimum here. I'm already throwing a lot at you and I don't want to add too much. There are more flags and there are more terms, but we're just gonna like chill there. And there are also onboards, when you can think of the onboards as a fan cam. Isn't that right? Yeah, we're doing this again. Welcome to the PowerPoint section of the video. I thought I'd throw this in here because cool. Teams that K-pop groups are like. She Lando on my Norris till I quadrant. Lando, if you want to use that, please message me and then we can discuss copyright before you put it on a shirt. I'm not including all teams because once again, too many teams. We're going to start with Red Bull. I think Red Bull is like most similar to 17, and I added pictures. Wow. Won a lot in the past, and they're winning again. You can see, obviously these are not all of the times, but I felt like including a win from like 1953 would be a little bit like redundant at this point. So 2010 to 2013. And then also too, like, you know, I think there's only one time where I'm counting like a driver, but for this, I'm counting teams. So this is team wins, right? Okay. So from 2010 to 2013, you know, back to back. And I say they're most like 17 because I feel like when 17 debuted, they debuted in 2015, but like it says like starting in 2017, I feel like they started gaining some popularity, but I feel like there was a little bit of time where they weren't getting as much recognition as you would think they would because they are an iconic third gen group, but I definitely think that they're getting a lot more recognition and, you know, people talking about them and listening to them now, which I think that's happening with Red Bull. So next, McLaren, ateez. So when they started, they won a little bit. They had a little bit of momentum. And they're really starting to shine. There was a long time of nothing. Ateez, like when they first debuted, and like they had some songs that did blow up, but it's really since Bouncy, I feel like they have really just, it's like a slow and steady increase of popularity. Ferrari, EXO. I feel like out of all the comparisons, I am the most confident with this one. So Ferrari is considered F1 royalty and iconic in F1. I feel like if you were to go up to a stranger or ask someone who knows nothing about F1 to guess a team, they would say Ferrari. Like before I knew about F1, I'd be like, is Ferrari a part of it? Like they're just so iconic and royalty. And EXO is the same. K-pop royalty, and they are such an iconic K-pop group. Once again, if you ask, to name groups, BTS, you're going to also name EXO. Have had illustrious careers with very talented people, whether it be idols or drivers. But a lot of people have said that their own company have held them back, whether it's the strategies that fuck up both the drivers or one of the drivers not being listened to, or, companies not paying their artists to the point where their own artists sue them or former artists sue them. Technically, Baekhyun is still a SM artist because he is in EXO still. His solo career is just with his own label now. But there are a lot of people feel like EXO doesn't get treated well. I listen to EXO a lot, but I don't really stand them to a point where I can know the depths of what's going on. But some people feel like their comebacks aren't really promoted that well. However you want to feel. But yeah, I feel like back in the day, in terms of accolades and success, they have done so well that they have really placed themselves as icons and royalty in their respective industries, like the 1999 to 2004, and then also too with like the music, just the song, like EXO, iconic group. It's the songs are coming on at K-pop Club Night. The songs are coming out at a RPD, but like, yeah, a lot of people feel like their own staff and team doesn't really handle them well. So next, Mercedes and Hamilton. Remember I said I am only talking about one person and I'm comparing it to a group? Yep, Mercedes, and specifically Lewis Hamilton compared to BTS. There was a point when BTS popped up to an award show that no one else was winning the fucking award show. I didn't know this. 2019, correct me if I'm wrong, 2019 BTS notably won all the Dasang awards. All of them. Even the girl group awards. Best girl group goes to BTS. Yeah, from 2014, 2015, 17, 18, 19, Lewis Hamilton won the Drivers' World Championship. It was like back to back to back to back to back to back to back. I mean, yeah, you can see the comparison of all of the awards BTS has. It was just like a fucking sweep. And then same with Lewis and Mercedes. Crazy. Next, last, Williams. So I compared Williams to GOT7. One in the past, hasn't had much since, but seems to be having a pretty good go at it now. That's for Williams. In terms of for GOT7, let's read this brick. They're an iconic K-pop group and were really huge during third gen, like from 2015 to 2018, I feel like was their peak. Their popularity died down. I feel like a lot of people know them. Like there are so many people I've talked to or I've heard being like, oh yeah, I know GOT7, but I just don't listen to them. But now since Python, I feel like we've been having a bit of like a GOT7 resurgence, and there are new people that are getting into them and people that are they're just being listened to more. And they're being recognized for having solid music, great talent, and gaining fans because of their likability, which is very similar to Williams. The Williams marketing team is doing a very good job. I literally am a fan of Williams now because of their YouTube videos and stuff. And, we know that Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon are both really, really talented. And it's just they're just really easy to root for because they're so likable, also you see their Williams have won in the past before. And I think, you know, Williams having a new person at the helm in charge just feels like a refreshing new chapter, and GOT7 leaving JYP and being under new management feels like the same thing. So, yep, that's my thing. Comment if you, actually don't comment if you think I'm wrong, because I'm never wrong, but comment what other comparisons you have. This is the outro. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that I have reached my intended goal of, if you are a K-pop fan, you are at least just a little bit more, or just a little bit interested in F1 now. And if you're a Formula 1 fan who knows nothing about K-pop and you watched this whole video, how you must be so confused. But you know what, actually, when you do watch K-pop, you'll get it. So actually, no, like, everyone understands, no one is confused. I solved the world. I will be posting more F1 content across all my pages and more sports content in general. So if you're interested in F1, follow me, subscribe for more. And if you make K-pop F1 merch, send it my way. Hollister, let me be your brand ambassador. Absolutely. I'm gonna go now. Bye.